After centuries of bloodshed, betrayal, and civil war, Rome was broken. The republic that once stood as the pride of the ancient world had torn itself apart from the inside. The Senate was weak, the people were divided, and the armies no longer fought for Rome, they fought for whoever promised them the most. When Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BCE, many believed the republic would be restored. Instead, his death unleashed another wave of chaos. The men who claimed to defend liberty plunged the state into yet another civil war. On one side were Caesar's killers, the so-called liberators, Brutus and Cassius. On the other, his loyal followers, Mark Antony, Caesar's right-hand general, and a young, quiet heir named Gaius Octavius, better known to history as Octavian. Octavian was just 19 when Caesar died, but he was sharp, cunning, and dangerously ambitious. As Caesar's adopted son and legal heir, he inherited not only his name but also his massive fortune and the loyalty of his legions. At first, few took him seriously, he was too young, too inexperienced. But Octavian played politics like a master. He formed an uneasy alliance with Mark Antony and a third powerful man, Marcus Lepidus. Together they created the Second Triumvirate, giving themselves absolute power to restore order. Their first act was revenge. They launched proscriptions, public lists of enemies marked for death. Anyone suspected of siding with Caesar's killers was hunted down, their property seized, and their families ruined. It was one of the bloodiest purges in Roman history. 2 years later, in 42 BCE, the triumvirs confronted Brutus and Cassius at the Battle of Philippi in Macedonia. The liberators were crushed. Both committed suicide rather than face capture. The Republic's last defenders were dead. But victory didn't bring peace. The alliance between Octavian and Antony quickly began to crumble. Lepidus was pushed aside, leaving only two men who each believed they should rule the world. Antony took control of the eastern provinces, where he met Queen Cleopatra of Egypt, the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty. She was intelligent, ambitious, and already a legend. Their alliance, and their romance, would change everything. Back in Rome, Octavian used propaganda to destroy Antony's reputation. He claimed Antony had fallen under Cleopatra's spell, that he was betraying Rome for Egypt. He painted himself as the defender of Roman virtue, while Antony was a slave to a foreign queen. The Senate and the people believed him. In 31 BCE, the conflict finally erupted into war. At the Battle of Actium, off the coast of Greece, Octavian's fleet, led by his brilliant admiral Agrippa, faced Antony and Cleopatra's forces. The battle was fierce, but when Cleopatra's ships suddenly fled the scene, Antony followed her, abandoning his army. His forces surrendered, and their cause was lost. A year later, Octavian invaded Egypt. Antony and Cleopatra, cornered and defeated, took their own lives. With their deaths, the last real opposition to Octavian vanished. For the first time in centuries, Rome had only one ruler. In 27 BCE, the Senate granted Octavian a new title, Augustus, meaning the revered one. It was the birth of the Roman Empire. Augustus would rule for more than 40 years, reshaping Rome from a fractured republic into a stable, powerful state. He understood what made the republic collapse, endless ambition and unchecked power, and he found a way to fix it without giving up control. Outwardly, he pretended to restore the republic, returning powers to the Senate and calling himself merely the first citizen. But in truth, he held absolute authority over the army, the provinces, and the treasury. He was emperor in all but name. Under Augustus, Rome entered an era of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. For the first time in generations, the world stopped burning. The legions no longer fought each other but defended Rome's borders. Roads were built across the empire, connecting lands from Spain to Syria, from Britain to Egypt. Trade flourished, wealth flowed in, and the city of Rome itself transformed. Augustus rebuilt the capital in marble, turning what was once a city of brick into a symbol of imperial glory. Temples, forums, and monuments rose everywhere, celebrating Rome's destiny as the heart of the civilized world. But Augustus wasn't just a builder, he was a master of image. He knew that power meant nothing without loyalty. Through art, poetry, and propaganda, he portrayed himself as a savior, chosen by the gods to restore order. Writers like Virgil, Horace, and Ovid flourished under his rule, filling Roman culture with stories of divine destiny and peace under Augustus's reign. Still, behind this golden image, the empire was not without shadows. Augustus ruled carefully, but he never forgot the blood that brought him to power. He surrounded himself with loyal guards, the Praetorian Guard, and exiled or silenced anyone who threatened his image. Even within his own family, betrayal brewed. His only child, Julia, was banished for scandal. Augustus's succession plans shifted constantly as heirs died mysteriously or fell out of favor. Despite the turmoil behind the scenes, Augustus's rule left an unshakable mark. By the time he died in 14 CE, he had created something far greater than himself, a system that would last for centuries. His stepson, Tiberius, succeeded him, marking the start of a new era, the Age of Emperors. From this point forward, the idea of the Roman Republic was gone forever. The emperor's word was law. The Senate became a mere formality, and the people traded freedom for peace. But it was a trade most were willing to make. The empire brought stability, prosperity, and a sense of destiny, that Rome was eternal. For nearly 200 years, the empire would stand unchallenged. From the sands of Egypt to the forests of Germania, from the deserts of Syria to the cliffs of Britain, one law, one coin, and one emperor ruled over all. It was an age of brilliance, but also of silence. The very system that brought peace also suffocated freedom. In the next episode, we'll enter the heart of imperial Rome, where emperors rose and fell, where madness and genius shared the same throne, and where the empire's golden age would shine, before the shadows began to grow.